Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call Bruce County Human Resources Committee to order. And I'll act as your chair this afternoon in the absence of the warden, who's off on other important county business today. And welcome everyone, and I'd like to remind everyone it's our own responsibility to disclose any pecuniary interest that you may have on today's agenda. You can do so if and when the matter arises. And the next item is item 2. There's a few action items to deal with today, and the first one is HR Policy C1, Annual Vacation Policy. And I'll turn it over to...
Thank you, Chair. Before you, we have two HR policies, C1, Annual Vacation Policy, and HR Policy C6, Sick Leave Policy. So the gist of the changes in these two policies is to align the two policies with a calendar fiscal vacation and sickness year. So currently, both of those plans, both vacation and sick leave, currently operate on individual service dates, so there's a lot of traction and tracking having to be done by the payroll group and also by the managers administering these policies to track those by individual dates. So as many of you know, we've already worked very diligently on getting a number of our employee groups changed over already, and so the non-union group is the final group to make that transition. So the recommendation for the HR Policy C1 Annual Vacations is that the committee provide direction to amend Policy C1 Annual Vacation to reflect the calendar year cycle as appended. And then the same recommendation is also under HR Policy C6, Sick Leave, that the Human Resources Department be provided direction to amend Policy C6, Sick Leave to reflect a calendar year entitlement cycle as appended.
So, Marianne, are you wanting two motions, or are you trying to put both policies into one motion?
Two motions. So do you want me to read the first one?
Yes, please.
Okay. That the Human Resources Department be provided direction to amend Policy C1 Annual Vacations to reflect a calendar year entitlement cycle as appended.
Do we have a mover for that particular motion? Milt, seconded by Wolf. Do you want to hear the motion again? We're all good. Any discussion on the motion? Oh, what's that? What's that? Discussion. Yeah. Go for it, big guy.
Okay, so this here, how has it changed, Marianne? How has it changed from before this new holiday? Yeah.
Okay, through you, Chair. What happens right now is if you're hired on, say, March 15th, that becomes your entitlement date to vacation. And so every year we have to track that, and then you move up in milestones. So for example, at year number 3, you're awarded 4 weeks vacation instead of 3 weeks, so we have to track that milestone. And so that means that every manager has to make sure that each of their employees have taken that vacation by that date. So if you have 80 employees reporting to you, you have 80 different dates to make sure that you manage to. So we've done a lot of enhancements in the system so that there's workflows attached. So now a manager for their 80 employees gets a workflow at 120 days to say, start watching it, the date's coming up, and they get another one at 90 days, and another one at 60 days, and another one at 30 days. Multiply that by 80 through the year. That's a lot of management that has to be done. So we're going to change that all so everybody understands vacation year starts January and finishes the end of December.
Good, thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, to complement what Marianne has articulated, individuals, when they have a milestone year, for example, after 5 years or 15 years, those milestones will still be calculated on their date of service, but it will be accrued for the year. So the goal is that this is going to remove a lot of unnecessary busy work that, yeah.
Luke, go ahead. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So will any staff be negatively affected by by the change? Or is the net effect that, say your date is March 15th, for example, and now it's a calendar year, that you'll be receiving your increased, or that your sick leave or your vacation time will reset effectively 3 months earlier than it would have, i.e. on January 1st, and that therefore is probably better, I guess, than from the employee's perspective than the current situation? Or is there any potential for a negative impact as a result of all these things to individual members of staff?
Through you, Chair. Each individual person will be receiving an individual letter to let them know what the impact will be, because in 2018, we will have a transition, because obviously January has already passed, so this will be implemented January 1st of 2018. So we've been working with managers right along to say, you know, this policy is probably going to be changed. Start watching how you're approving vacation this year so that we don't have anybody in a deficit position. So I think everyone should be to the positive, and in fact, they should be equal at the end of it if you were to line it up. If anything, some people will be slightly better off than they will be harmed in the process.
Janice?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I read both of those policies. I didn't see, unless I missed it. Are there personal days that are on top of vacation and sick days? There's no personal days involved? Okay, so
Through you, Chair, we don't have a personal days policy.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Heard the motion then, no other questions. All those in favor of the motion? Those opposed, that's carried. That'll take us right into 2B, which is policy, HR policy C6, sick leave policy, and that was attached. And I think Mary Ann's pretty much covered that off too. Do you have anything more you want to say on that, Mary Ann?
Thank you, Chair. Just one point of clarification. Currently, we have an outside party called Acclaim administering our sick leave policy, and so they administer the sick time based on an annual vacation year already, but the actual issuance of sick time is based on the service date. So this will help take some of the complexity, even for staff that get confused as to what's administered on what day. This should help remove the confusion around that. So again, nobody will be in a deficit position because of this change. I'll read the recommendation again, that the Human Resources Department be provided direction to amend policy C6, sick leave, to reflect a calendar year entitlement cycle as appended.
Heard the motion. Is there moved by Ann, second by Luke. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion then? And that's carried. Thank you. So that takes us to storage solution purchase attached.
Thank you. So as many of you will recall, the Human Resources Department was relocated as part of the Park Street renovation project in 2016. The personnel files of existing and terminated employees are currently housed in corporate services. Previously, they were in the HR department, but because of the move, they did not come with us. Corporate Services has requested that the existing storage solution previously utilized by the HR department, remain in corporate services in anticipation of their storage expansion. Therefore, we have now identified a suitable space within the department that provides adequate space for the storage, so no new construction needs to be undertaken. What we're looking for is the purchase of the actual storage solution and the installation of that solution. There is a monetary consideration. The costing proposal is $14,120 inclusive of HST, which represents hardware purchase and installation. So the recommendation is that the unbudgeted purchase of file storage solution for the amount of $14,120 inclusive of HST be approved and funded from tax stabilization reserve.
You have a motion before you. The recommendation is that the unbudgeted purchase of file storage in the amount of $14,120 inclusive of HST be approved and funded from tax stabilization reserve. I have a motion moved by Ann, second by Robert. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? And that's carried. So what else we got, Mary Ann? Oh, closed meeting. So we need a, where's the motion to go into closed, sir? Do we need a motion to go into closed?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is on the agenda,
No, is it?
right?
Maybe get you
You
to come over
can-
here and run the, where, oh. Okay, we need a motion that the committee move into a closed meeting pursuant to section 2B of the Municipal Act 2000, individual, including municipal or local board employees. Have a mover for that motion, moved by Ann, second by Luke. Any discussion on the motion? Those in favor of the motion? That's carried. We're in closed